Hey guys, it's Ash, and today I'm going to share some of the best decks that you guys can use with the new Goblin Gang card. But first, I would like to announce that I'm going to start adding subtitles to my videos, starting with Spanish and English languages. Puedes ver este video con subtítulos en español. Also, just want to give a quick shout out to my clan organization, the Alter family. If you guys are looking for a good clan, then try joining one of our clans if you meet the minimum requirements. I'm usually in the top clan, Alter of Elite, but I will be regularly visiting all the clans. Also, there are a bunch of fake Alter clans, so make sure you search the clan by the clan tag, not name. Anyways, the first deck I'm going to share is the Goblin Gang with the Hog Rider and Goblin Barrel. The best attribute of the Goblin Gang is its ability to bait spell cards such as the Log and Zap. So the best way to take advantage of the Goblin Gang is to surround it with a strategy that punishes players using those spell cards. We have lots of ways to bait the Log and Zap spell and then heavily punish our opponents with Goblin Barrel combined with the Hog Rider. Okay, let's do a battle with this deck first and then we'll move on to the next deck with the Goblin Gang. Alright, good luck. We have Skarmy, Goblin Gang, and Goblin Barrel with the Fireball. Okay, we're going to start off with the Goblin Barrel right here. See if he's going to use a spell card. He uses the Executioner. Okay, in that case, we're going to now use the Goblin Gang on the left. I don't think he has a spell since he used the Executioner on the Goblin Gang, but that just means that he doesn't have his spell in his starting hand. So it's a good idea to take note of that. Take note of his starting hand rotation. Alright, so let's see. So far he only showed 2 cards, now 3 cards, the Knight, Ice Golem, and Executioner. We're going to play the Princess on the right, force him to play something because we still have that Inferno Tower intact. So now he shows that he has the Log. Okay, so there's his Log, and now we're going to send in the Hog Rider with the Goblin Barrel. We have Skeleton Army for his graveyard, so we're not worried about that. Okay, nice, and I don't think he has a Zap spell because he already showed that he had the Log, and he didn't use a Zap earlier on our Goblin Barrel. Okay, nice, so we completely shut down the graveyard and Knight there. Here, we can just ignore this Ice Golem. Now we can just use the Goblin Gang, finish it off, and force him to play possibly Executioner again. Yeah, Executioner. And let's see. The Executioner is an excellent counter to the Goblin Gang. Kills them quickly. But that's fine. We can just use the Inferno Tower, 5 Elixir versus 5 Elixir. Oh, nice. He used his Knight, so we can get that as well. He's probably going to use Graveyard soon. Let's see. If he does, we can just use the Princess to shoot at those skeletons. Okay, nice. We'll use the Princess now on his tower. If he uses the Log, we can just send in Hog Rider with Goblin Barrel again. Nope, he's going to use the Executioner. Electro Wizard. We're going to use the Hog Rider to distract and then use the Skeleton Army right here. He's going to play his Inferno to counter and his Ice Golem. Okay, so that's 7 Elixir on our 7 Elixir push here. So fine with that. I'm going to play my Goblin Barrel right here. Let's see, does he use the Log? Yes, he does. Okay, Goblin Gang on the other lane. Pressure him, and since he just used the Log, he can't use it. He's gonna be forced to play his Executioner on the other lane, and then the Knight here. And I do know he's got the Graveyard. Look at how much damage the Goblin Gang did on the other lane. Awesome. We're gonna use the Skeleton Army, but he's gonna use Poison, so he does have Poison. Alright, we're gonna use the Log, finish off these skeletons, and we're gonna use the Goblin Gang, force him to play his Log. Yes, he fell for that. We're going to play the Princess on the right, and then what we're going to do is send in that Hog Rider with the Goblin Barrel. Since he just used the Log, he's not going to be able to use it again. So now the Goblin Barrel is going to do so much damage there. Awesome, took down his tower. And then here we can use the Goblin Gang to counter the Graveyard and the Executioner while it's distracted. We'll use the Princess on the other lane to help shoot those skeletons and Executioner. Good game! The next deck is a more defensive deck, but with the same concept. The idea of this deck is to constantly pressure your opponent with the Goblin Gang, Goblin Barrel, and Princess. If they use their Log on any of these troops, then they're in trouble. Most of the time, you're going to win by basically shutting down all their pushes with your great defense, while weakening their tower with chip damage, and then finish off their tower easily with Rocket. Okay, let's do a battle with this deck. Good luck. We have the Goblin Gang, Fire Spirits, Rocket, and the Log. Okay, in that case, we're going to start off by playing our Goblin Gang right here at the center, split them apart so that we can deal some chip damage on both lanes, forcing him to react on both lanes. Alright, so he's going to play Ice Golem and some skeletons, so that tells me very likely a Hog Rider cycle deck. and he played his musketeer. So yeah, very likely he has a hog rider. Nope, he's gonna play bowler instead. Okay, we're gonna have that knight distract, and then we'll have our princess shoot from a distance. Okay, and then for that bowler, we can just counter it with the Inferno Tower. So let's use the Inferno Tower right here, and then we'll use the Goblin Gang on the graveyard. He just used his log, so I don't think he also has a zap, so we can easily shut down his goblin. We can easily shut down his graveyard with our Goblin Gang. And then we'll just use the Goblin Barrel right here, since the Arena Tower is distracted by our goblins. Okay, nice, and because he just played his log on our princess. Okay, nice. Now he has an Ice Golem backed up by a Musketeer. I'm gonna wait a bit here, and then drop my Knight right here, play my Fire Spirits, and then Princess right here behind the King's Tower to shoot those skeletons. Nice, and she should be able to clear out those skeletons pretty effectively. Okay, nice. Now we're gonna play the Goblin Gang right here on the right, because we have the princess on the left, so that's gonna force him to play his log, and he did use the log on the princess, so we can safely play our Goblin Barrel on his tower on the left. Nice. Okay, so now he has that musketeer, and he's not gonna play bowler, but he might play graveyard. So let's see, we're gonna use the knight to counter the musketeer, and he needs to react to this knight, otherwise he's gonna take tower damage, so he uses his bowler here. Okay, we're gonna play the Inferno Tower right here, quickly counter this bowler, because I know he wants to support that bowler with a graveyard, and I'm not gonna allow that. And now I'm just gonna use my princess here quickly. We're gonna use Fire Spirits. He's probably gonna use the log, and when he uses, nope, he's gonna use poison. In that case, we're going to use Goblin Gang all the way at the back, so he's not able to log us. Now we're going to play the Goblin Barrel right here. He's probably going to use the log, but we have lots of elixir to use, and he did use the log. We're going to play the Knight right here. Okay, and from a distance, play the Princess. And again, counter his bowler Musketeer with the Inferno. We'll use the Goblin Gang to counter his graveyard, but he uses poison right here. Poor placement of the poison. Okay, nice. And now we're gonna quickly send in these Fire Spirits, forcing him to react. He uses his Musketeer. He's gonna take a lot of damage, and we have the Inferno Tower with the Knight. We're gonna use a rocket right here on that bowler and Musketeer, not Musketeer, and Tower. Nice. His bowler's weak. We're gonna use the Goblin Barrel right here. Let's see, does he use the log? If he uses the log, he's not gonna have the log for our Goblin Gang, but he played his graveyard. We can play the Knight right here on the poison without having to worry. Okay, nice. Then we'll play the Fire Spirits here quickly, cycle to our rocket and log, and that should do it. Good game. So yeah, basically just play defense for the most part and just keep chipping away your opponent's tower, and then you can just finish them off with a rocket pretty easily. Just cycle rocket at the end. The last deck is with Minor Poison. So yeah, again, similar concept, but this time we have the Minor. If your opponent uses the log on your Goblin Gang or Princess, then you can safely use your Goblin Barrel while distracting their tower with your Minor, and then easily take down the tower. The Minor is just an excellent shield for all your goblins. So let's do a battle with this final deck. We are up against Neo, good luck. Okay, we have Goblin Barrel, the log, Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Inferno Tower. So we're going to start off with a Goblin when we have 9 elixir, so that we can force him to use a spell and wait. But no, he's going to play a Knight, so that tells me he likely doesn't have a spell card in his starting hand. So we're going to play the Goblin Gang on the other lane, see if he uses a spell. Nope, no spell. So now we can use our Inferno Tower to counter his Knight and his Bowler. Unfortunately, we had to use the mini pack on those skeletons, but we have the log to finish off the rest. Or we could have used the zap spell if we had a zap instead of the log. If you don't have the log, you can use a zap spell instead, but the log is just so much better for a lot of things basically. Such as taking down the Goblin Barrel in one hit, now that zap spell doesn't one-shot goblins in tournament level standards. Alright, so we're going to play the Minor here at the back. I'm hoping the Musketeer is not within range. She's not. Okay, nice. And then we'll use the Princess from a distance and use the Goblin Gang to counter his Musketeer. And then the Spear Goblins can shoot away at that Mega Minion. Okay, nice. And here we can use the Inferno Tower to counter everything basically. So there we go. The bowler was not distracted, but we can just use the mini P.E.K.K.A to get 2 swings and quickly finish off the bowler. He's going to use the Inferno Tower to counter the mini P.E.K.K.A. I'm completely fine with that because he just wasted 5 elixir to counter 4 elixir. Okay, now he has not shown that he has a spell card, so what we're going to do is we're going to play Miner with Goblin Barrel right now. So here we go. Miner, Goblin Barrel. He just played his Musketeer on the other lane. Okay, he does have the log, and he just used it. We're going to play the Princess right here. I know he wants to use the Graveyard, so let's see, does he? Yeah, he does use the Graveyard. And then we'll use the mini P.E.K.K.A to counter his Musketeer over there. He's going to use a poison on our goblins, but that's fine because we still have the mini P.E.K.K.A to finish off those. We'll use the Miner to shield for our mini P.E.K.K.A here. Okay, and then we'll use the Goblin Barrel over there. And this time we're not going to use the Inferno Tower since the Musketeer is weak. So we can just finish it off with the Princess. And then we're going to use the Goblin Gang on the right, while we use the mini P.E.K.K.A with the Princess on the left. So let's see, where does he use the log? He doesn't use a log. Mini P.E.K.K.A, he had to use the Inferno Tower on it. Nice. We're going to use the Miner over here. I'm hoping the bowler is not within range, but it is. We're going to use the poison, finish off his Musketeer, weaken his bowler. And I know he's got the Graveyard, so I'm readying my Princess right here from a distance to avoid the poison and shoot down those skeletons. Nice. And here we go. We're going to play mini P.E.K.K.A, and then we're going to play Miner right here. Poison, and that should do it. He's not going to be able to target our Miner over there, and we'll finish him off with a log. But yeah, lots of ways to directly target our opponent, bait their log multiple ways, and then just finish them off with a Miner, poison. You have so many ways to beat them. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the battles and liked the decks. Leave a like if you did, and also subscribe for more great Clash Royale content, and I'll see you guys again soon. Later!